Hello and welcome back to Breakbulk. We're pleased to welcome you in the 2025 edition, and I'm very pleased to introduce you to a new segment in our Breakbulk Magazine, as well as the further development, government and defense logistics. What is it? How do we go about it? What are the opportunities and what should we pay attention to? Today, I'm very pleased to welcome you to Mr. Ted Gase, a known name both on the civil side, but specifically here in the last years, domestic work for the Bennett Group of family, transportation, not families, trucking. Ted, welcome to the stage.
Glad to be here.
Well, I think our audience would like to know who you are. So could you please give us a brief overview on your background and what you do today?
Sure. My position is I'm Vice President of Transportation, Supply Chain, and Projects with the Bennett family of companies. I work on many projects throughout the United States, various applications from oil and gas to military projects to basically international projects throughout the world.
Thank you, Ted. So, government and defense, very large, very all-inclusive term. So in terms of trucking and identifying opportunities, what is there for a company like Bennett, asset-based, with very specific transport engineering capabilities? Where is the fit? Where's the opportunity?
Well, Bennett's a unique company. We have a lot of disciplines that we bring to the companies, and we are basically a primary company of transportation for the Department of Defense and the Department of the Energy. So we do a lot of the work for lifting of satellites into outer space. We do a lot of work with the air and space commodities for lifting satellites, charged rocket motors for a lot of the defense contractors, such as SpaceX, ULA, a lot of those programs. We do a lot of ammunitions and explosives. We're one of the primary carriers for that commodity throughout the United States for the Department of Defense. We also do a lot of Department of Energy projects. So with that, we do new transport of nuclear commodities throughout all of the United States for pods and everything to Richland, Washington, through that side for air and space.
That's a great overview of the capabilities, but as I see, also requirements. So what should one take into consideration owning a number of trucks or having access to assets? How would we go about it? What is the first step? What would be your recommendation? And what does one need to have in his bag of capabilities?
Well, it's so many varied applications for government work. A lot of things start with unique trailers, unique trucks, and unique lane segments of where you're going to start with. So as you start, Bennett has unique capabilities and we've designed equipment that meets different needs in the government industry. So to get started, basically a unique truck, flatbed, step deck, basically expands to Conestogas, multi-axle equipment, specialized for military transport of military equipment would be a start.
If you would have to qualify from a top 5 list down, what would be the essential capabilities or components one would have to have in his company starting to address or identify the opportunity?
To identify the opportunities would be to be qualified, number one, to transport military equipment, to be registered with the military vendors and with the government entities. So that'd be the start. And then to pick their capabilities to satisfy the needs and requirements of the military tenders would be the first start.
Okay. So what would be the second most important?
The second most important would be to qualify and to have the government drivers or the drivers that meet the government standards to enter military bases. So that's a unique requirement that's going to be basically the immigration standpoint. There's new requirements by the CDLs that are out there. That's a major requirement that just went into effect within the last week.
Yeah.
The second part is you have requirements for the driver background checks. You have requirements to go into the military bases. Vendors have different requirements of driver background checks. So that's the first round is having the driver base that you can meet the standards of the vendors and the military requirements to be the military entry for your drivers.
Great info, thank you. What would be the risk mitigation? And perhaps you can highlight that through an example you can give us. You give us a very good rendition in the publication, in our last publication, about the essential needs to be the in-between player between the government and then the asset owners' technology, including artificial intelligence-driven systems.
So a lot of things that are happening today is that because everything's being outsourced, third-party vendors are coming in, third-party 3PL providers. It's disciplines, knowledge, and assets, because you become the interplayer between the government entities, the vendors that are incorporating in an outsourced environment, and the knowledge that interplays between the objectives of the projects. So knowing those disciplines, knowing the interplay of the logistics players and what the end objectives of the projects are. Having that knowledge where it plays with the multiple objectives of the projects becomes the real risk analysis and the risk mitigation pieces. So once you know the macro piece, where you play in that role and what your role is, that's the real risk analysis that needs to play in that environment.
That's fantastic. Ted, thank you so much for joining us and bringing us a first highlight to this new section for Breakbulk. Again, please read up in the magazine, contact us here on the floor, and we wish you a great Breakbulk